In this video, I'm going to show some tips on how to time up a pitcher. The first tip is we want a slow and controlled load, so we don't want to rush. If we rush our load, we're not able to get in that good hitter's position before we actually swing away. So having a slow and controlled load allows me to do a couple things in my load. One, it allows me to get my hands back separated away from my body. Getting my hands back separated away from my body allows me to get more power in my swing. If my hands are even with my body, I can do it, but I'm not going to get much power. Now remember, every hitter is going to look different with how they set up, with how they load, with how they stride, if they do stride. So you might have a hitter who already starts with their hands back, so they don't need to take their hands back anymore in their load. You just want to make sure that your hands are back when your front foot is down and when you're ready to fire. The other thing that needs to happen in our load is we need to start to shift a little bit more weight into this back side. So I like to think there's about 70% of weight on my back leg, 30 on my front leg. Our power comes from this back hip, so we need to make sure that we are loading a little bit more weight into this back side so we can really unleash and hit the ball hard. And the last thing that needs to happen before we swing away is we need to get this front foot down. So again, everyone's going to look different. For me, I have an open stance and I just bring my front foot in just a couple inches. You might have someone starting close together. You might have someone with a big leg kick. Doesn't matter what you do. We just need to make sure that we're getting this front foot down, which I'm going to talk about at the end of this video. So going off of that and having a slow and controlled load, the next tip is when you want to start your load. This is going to vary depending on the pitcher's speed. So let's first start with about 50 miles an hour and up. Good rule of thumb of when you want to start your load is when the pitcher is in her back motion. So as she is moving back and she's about right here, you want to start to slowly move with her. I like to have a little 3-second tempo here. So as the pitcher is going back, I'm going to start slowly to get in my load. And as I'm starting to slowly get into my load, I'm counting to 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. On 3, my front foot is down and I'm swinging away. And again, remember, every hitter is going to look different. You might have a hitter doing 4 seconds. You just don't want like 1 to 2 seconds because then you're going to be rushed. So just like every hitter is different with how they set up, every pitcher is different with how they wind up. So if you have a pitcher who does a bunch of different movements before they actually go back, ignore that movement. It's just when the pitcher goes back into this motion is when you want to start to slowly go with her and get in that load. So now let's do 45 miles an hour and slower. Only difference here is you're going to start your load maybe just a little bit later. So instead of starting when the pitcher is in her back motion, you might start when the pitcher starts to come up with her arm. So the pitcher is back. As she's about right here, before she comes up and around, you can go ahead and start your 3-second tempo. You want to start a little bit later because the ball's coming in a little bit slower. Now our last tip is when you should get your front foot down. This tip is very, very important because if your front foot is not completely down before you swing, you're probably going to be late and you're losing power. Good rule of thumb is you are getting your entire foot down when the ball is 2/3 of the way to you. For me personally, what I like to do when the pitcher is coming around and when she's about to release, so when she's on her down motion about to release, I like to start to slowly bring my foot in and I'm going to be on my toes. When that ball is 2/3 of the way to me, I'm getting my heel down and then I'm firing. You want to do your best to keep this all in one motion for the most part. So what I mean by that is you don't want to get your front heel down, sit there for about 2 to 3 seconds and then swing because you're losing your momentum, which causes you to lose power. So if you're able to keep that good tempo, it's going to set you up for success. It's going to allow you to see the ball, and it's going to allow you to get in that good hitter's position before you swing away while keeping that momentum. So let me just say, I would rather you be early with your front foot than late with your front foot. So if you're someone who's really struggling getting your front foot down in enough time, maybe get your foot down when the pitcher releases the ball. So you want to get your entire foot down. Yeah, you might lose a little bit of power, but at least you're getting your hands back. You're able to load that weight into that backside and you're able to see the ball all the way in. Just remember, every hitter is going to look a little bit different with when they start their load. Their tempo is going to look a little bit different, and they might look a little different when they get their front heel down. Because, for example, if you have a hitter who does a big leg kick versus a hitter who just puts their heel up and puts it back down, their timing is going to be different with when they start, because with the leg kick, you have a lot more motion going on, whereas if you're just putting your heel up, putting it down, that's simple and doesn't take much time. Regardless of what you do, my best advice is time up the pitcher when you're on deck, when you're in the circle, and when you're in the dugout. The dugout, you don't even need a bat. You can just put your bat down and you don't even need to be wide. Just work on starting your load, feeling when you actually want to start to gather and get that weight on that back leg, get those hands back, and when you actually want to get your front foot down. Another thing that you can do that I feel is very, very helpful is finding a pitcher and standing in while they go through their workout, and you're not going to swing. So whether that's before practice, during practice, or maybe going to a pitcher's lesson depending on what they're doing that day, and just working on your timing. So as they're pitching, ball's coming in, whether it's a ball or strike, you're going to work on when you want to actually start your load, and you want to work on getting that front foot down when that ball's 2/3 of the way to you. And to take it further, because you're not swinging, when the pitch comes in, and you're getting your front foot down, you can either say yes or no if you would actually swing at that pitch in a game.